back, everybody. It's time to introduce today's first match. It's going to be LGD China versus MUFC. LGD China, they are them, Tongfu, and DK. These are the three teams right now that are really performing well in the Chinese scene. We're going to start off introducing the two teams, talk a little bit about the matchup, so we'll start running through them now. On LGD China, you've got Sylar, your hard carry player. This guy, his lone druid play at G1 League, highlight reel, I could watch that all day.
Yeah. He's probably the most consistent carry player, I want to say.
Yeah.
Doesn't make mistakes too much.
He's not the most flashy, aside from there was that moment, but for the most part, I don't think that's what he's really known for.
He always gets his job done, and that's what you want from your carry player. Yeah.
Quiet, solid, stable. That's actually true for a lot of the LGD players. They're not the flashiest team for sure, but Xiao8, Director 8, he's been all around the Dota map, all around the world. This guy's been through the grinder, so to speak.
Why is Kunkka not one of his signature hero after his recent 6th performance? He's the person that's landing blind horns all day. Don't even need X for setup.
Yeah, I'm actually not sure why Spectre's here, to be honest. Fire LD, I was responsible for these ones, guys. But, of course, we do have Yao. He's your... Sometimes he'll go solo mid. We used to see him there all the time back at the International, too. If they pick Invoker, he will. But I think most well known for his off-lane mag. As of late, we've seen him on things like Darkseer. I think we've seen a lot more of that from him. Even Clockwork. He's played Kunkka as well in the tri-lane. And the one thing with LGD is they've gotten more versatile with their laning. We'll see offensive tri-lanes. We'll see dual lanes. We'll see abandoning the off-lane sometimes.
Yeah, I was always playing that kind of extra random hero that might not fit with the rest of the strategy. But up next is DDC, a 4-role player. And the supports of these Chinese teams are always kind of the... unsung heroes, I want to say.
Yeah, I mean, well, we've seen the praises a lot of, you know, I think particularly Chuan and Faith were, especially Chuan, very flashy support player, even Die for DK. But for me, I always looked at these LGD supports, DDC, and we can even look at DD now, and I never felt like they were the most explosive or crazy players, and, you know, I always respected them as solid and stable, but I did actually look at LGD a few months back and say, I feel like they need more from their supports, but their supports have definitely improved. DD...
They stepped it up in the G1 land.
They really did. In the G1 League, and we'll take a look there at the rankings.
They're back, the Hexagons.
The Hexagons are back, guys. Congratulations. Hope you enjoy them. And, of course, we have updated these. But LGD China, they deserve these ratings. Second place at G1 League. They fell short of the Alliance, but they've been solid, consistent, and performing very well.
Yeah, maybe the drafting should... 8's around about right because they never banned Lone Druid against Alliance. Hopefully they will have MUFC's number better today.
Yeah, I would say that even the player skill could maybe be a bit higher here. But we'll move along to their opponents now, MUFC. We've talked a lot about LGD China. We've cast a lot of them as of late. MUFC, again, team that's been off the radar for us here at Beyond the Summit, and most of you guys from the Western community and even the Southeast Asian viewers may not have seen them unless they're watching the GST, the local cups. And we'll start off with Hantrash player, the hard carry player for this team. Fantastic farmer. Sometimes his decision-making, so-so.
Yeah, it reminds me a little bit of Mushi in terms of late-game decision-making, and that's not what where you might want to be. No Mushi flames here. It just...
It's
for
fair.
example, yesterday, he...
Exactly. It's a fair criticism.
Yeah, and sometimes he gives you the great early game. He farms so well. Sometimes late game, All right, number 2, we're going to have FZ, which is your solo mid player. Wide range of solo mid heroes, I have to say. Yeah,
I mean, he also has played a lot of Magnus. We don't have the Magnus on here because, frankly, his Magnus has been very dicey at best, and something that maybe we don't want to see.
We probably won't see Magnus today, so I don't think that's going to be an issue.
Of course, we'll move along now to our 3-position player for MUFC, and it's TFG. I think the Darkseer, the most important one to talk about. MUFC is a team that will sometimes run, say, a safe lane solo and an aggressive tri-lane, and if they do that, you might see TFG take a Prophet, a Queen of Pain to that solo safe lane.
Maybe even a Puck. When he first came on scene, his Puck was really one of his best heroes.
The flavor text for him is actually that his Puck often gets him into trouble, which is what I think Winter wrote these. At least it sounds like it. We'll move along to the 4th-position player. That's going to be Lane. For him, we have a couple of standard supports because MUFC, they really like the dual roam. We'll see Rubik plus Lina, Shadow Demon plus Jakiro, a lot of dual roaming combos. I haven't seen them as of late, so maybe that's changed, but the jungle game is really what's interesting there with the Chen.
Yep. And, of course, Winter, our friend Winter, is going to be playing mostly the heavy 5 role, and he gets no-go, boots, Wan for the rest of the game, and he always plays very solidly.
I know everyone's sad that Winter isn't casting, working more with Beyond the Summit, or just in general as a caster, but hey, he's busy trying to win the International 3. So you look at MUFC, and I would say a solid team. I think their strengths are just strategy, from drafting to overall game planning. I think that's where they'll be strongest, but I think where they do struggle is just execution, player skill, micro decision-making, basically.
And against a team like LGD China, who is constantly in the limelight, the strategy are easily practice against, and you can find out the drafting plan. this is winter. This is where Winter's is strongest at. You could draft around it. You could pick what you think the best strategy against them is.
Yeah, look to Winter to basically carry the team, not through his individual plays, but more through his decision making. So we've introduced the teams. We've talked a little bit about the rosters. Let's go to predictions. What do you think for this match? It's best of 2 format, so you win 2 games, you get extra points. You tie 1-1, you get 1 point. You lose, you get 0. What's your prediction?
1-1, and I'm going to
Really?
call it 1-1 MUFC because why not? Right?
Because you're rooting for Winter.
Right,
You're
I'm rooting-
fanboying a little bit.
Well, it's really 1-1 MUFC considering that a lot of people predict a 2-0 sweep for
Right.
LGD China, right?
That would be, honestly, if MUC can take 1 game here.
Yeah.
The
It
way
is
this,
1-1 MUFC, that's why.
I mean, that's pretty good for them.
Yeah.
I feel if they take a game, they'll be pretty. I don't know that they'll be happy with it, but it'll be a good start for them. For me, I got to say 2-0 LGD. They're playing beastly now. I haven't seen MUFC as of late, and even if they're training a lot, playing those smaller cups and scrimmaging a lot, they're not getting to compete in these big tournaments. We're invited to the DSL, failed to qualify for the G1 League Land Finals, fell short there, and as a result, they're not getting those big matches to practice in. But we've made our predictions. We've blabbered on for a bit. Purge, Blitz, your thoughts on the match?
I'm going to definitely call for a 2-0 LGD. I think MUFC has some pretty good talent and all, but I still think that LGD China is definitely the better team here. And they had better hexagon stats, so I mean, should be pretty obvious.
I'm going to go with Lumi, and I will bet on my indeterminate sex haircut that MUFC takes at least 1 game.
Isn't there a story with your hair for today, Will?
What?
You had a story. A
What
plan.
story?
You had a plan.
It's off the
Oh.
table.
No, it's off. Yeah.
It's
All right,
secret.
the real question, is it going to be a 1-1 LGD or a 1-1 MUFC?
What do you mean? Wait, what?
Like,
Did
who are
you
you
hear?
rooting for, basically?
Lumi said 1-1 MUFC. Are you going to say
Oh,
1-1?
that doesn't make sense.
It
Lumi.
totally
It
makes
makes all
sense.
it makes all sense.
When does Lumi ever make sense?
Make a choice,
This
okay?
is just more of the same.
LGD?
Use your logic. Come on.
LGD?
Okay, all right. He's going to call a 1-1 LGD. So,
So if LGD goes 2-0, shave my head. Not my head, but I'll get a haircut.
Full shave, like
Whoa.
down to the scalp,
There's
or
no
how much do
way
you get
I
to
am
how much do you get to
shaving my
leave,
entire
Will?
head. I'm gonna go. We'll see. I'm gonna just let the barber kind of choose. It's
Ooh.
really sad too. I've gotten really used to this haircut, so
the not being able to see thing, or
yeah, it's you know, it obscures my hair, but nobody can call me Chuan's lesbian sister anymore.
it's really easy to play ping pong against him when he can't see the ball because his hair is in the way. So I recently won a 21 to how many point 5?
I had points. I had like 8.
He had like 5 points.
I've
or
never
something.
played ping pong before. That's a lie. I don't
Okay,
know why I
you're-
did that.
You're okay for that, considering that. Okay, so we're into the game, guys. LGD Gaming versus MUFC. Now, again, if you guys have been missing for a bit, the drafting style is a little different here. We're doing basically stages of 2, basically. So you'll get 2 bans for each team, and then each team gets 2 picks, and then they'll do the same thing over and over again. If you guys take a look at the left side of the screen as well, the reserve time for LGD is actually down to 20 seconds. One of their players was actually late to join the game, so they got a 90-second penalty on their extra picking and banning time. So if you guys are confused, that is why.
Yes, and actually, I really like the way that the new ban system works. I think it allows for more heroes, and it limits how much of an advantage first ban, first pick has. And on
Does
top-
it that
yeah,
actually
it does influence it,
Okay.
and also on top of that, you get a situation where you can't just kind of blanket ban heroes anymore.
Mhm.
Before, when it was the 3-2 setup, you could just kind of see the first 3 picks where everyone was going,
Yeah.
and then blanket ban where they were weak, right?
You could be like ban 3 supports.
Exactly.
Or
So if they picked a solo, or
Exactly.
3 heroes from 1 lane, then they could just kind of take out whatever was left. Or if 2 supports are picked, then you take out all the good mids, and so on and so forth. But now you can't just do that. You actually have to really consider, you know, what is the pressing hero right now that they absolutely need.
Yeah, and especially in the later rounds, like you said, the blanket bans is the best way to describe it. Just a ton of bans at the end, and I don't know about you, but even in lower level scrims, for example, by the time you hit your 3rd ban, it's oftentimes just kind of a random guess. It doesn't feel as important when it's that early into the draft. There's only 3 heroes picked at that point, or there were previously, and I don't know. I felt like this is a lot more fun to watch, in my opinion.
Definitely is, and for LGD, we see that hero, Visage, so popular. We saw it in the Asian scene. I think it was the #1 picked hero in the TI3 East qualifiers.
Yeah, it was, and nobody really saw that one coming. He barely got drafted before then, was occasionally picked up by a couple teams, but really not that common at all, honestly. But now he's really dominating things, so Visage gets first picked. The drafts coming from MUFC is going to be a Wisp Chaos Knight combo, so that'll start off a possible duel or trial lane. They can go into a lot of mid-game ganking if needed, and a hero like Gyrocopter actually has to be pretty careful in the mid-game before he gets his BKB.
Yeah, I'm going to call out Winter because I remember when I used to host Mad, he told me that Wisp was just like a bad hero.
Oh, damn.
They didn't
Gauntlet
think that they
thrown.
could use it. And I know AUI called him out and he's like, it's a good hero. And then he said, like, just watch. Well, he didn't say that, but I'm not going to throw AUI under bus. But he did say that Wisp was a hero that they didn't think they could really utilize because they didn't think it was good in a tri-lane and so on and so forth. But I mean, it's a hero that's become really popular. I think the West has influenced the East enough in this sense that they recognize that the mobility of the hero is so powerful. Once you hit level 6, nobody is safe.
Yeah. And just think of what happened at TI2, actually. There was very little Wisp play. I think one of the few teams that actually drafted it was Darer, and this is the combo that they were using, was Chaos Knight Wisp. And were these heroes even... I mean, I think a Wisp got slight buffs between TI2 and now. But he has also gotten subsequent nerfs as well, so just took a while for everybody to pick him up and finally start drafting him.
Yeah. They make the God, I can't actually. What was the spirits? They don't give vision anymore.
Yep,
so
that was a recent nerf.
Yeah, it makes it a lot better if a hero sees the TP coming, then you can just TP out, and the spirits won't see you immediately, and you don't get reality rifted and killed.
Yeah, there's a couple other small changes as well. I believe, like Overcharge, it has a 2-second cooldown on toggling it, so you can't just pop it on and off really fast. And I think they also changed some of the vision things based on his ulti as well. Like gives more vision for your opponents or something like that. So a bunch of little changes to Wisp here. But regardless, he's still about the same. He can't have as many tricks, but it's really not that big of a deal. And impressive that LGD actually hasn't burned any of their reserve time yet. They're still at 20 seconds here. I'm sure they're working really hard to make sure they know that that they want to draft here.
Yeah, and they're going to ban out the Triss. Good jungle hero, good support. They're going to get rid of the Keeper of the Light as well. I like these two bans because an Enchantress makes it so that if LGD decides not to offensive tri-lane, the enchant will just be able to kind of abuse and tower push, and she lends herself like a really good support. And Keeper of the Light, if LGD does decide to tri-lane, that's a hero that can actually just push them back repeatedly. So I actually really like those two bans.
Cool. Awesome to see Earthshaker being drafted again as a support hero. Buffs to Earthshaker recently, his turn rate has increased, which means that if he's looking in opposite direction from where he needs to fissure, it is lower time for him to actually get the fissure out. So really, really useful there. And also the length of fissure has also been increased, so it can shoot even farther and catch more heroes with it. Very good against AoE stunners, or like Chaos Knight when he pops his ulti, just drop the fissure on top of that. And he's also very good against Chaos Knight for the fact that Echo Slam on top of Illusions is just going to give you some bonus damage as well.
Yeah,
there.
doesn't it work now for the Illusions? That was meant to counteract Phantom Lancer, I believe.
Yeah, it was. What did it have to do with Aghanim Scepter?
No, I think the Earthshaker ult now just works against illusions.
The illusions count as heroes instead of illusions. Is that how it works?
Or
okay.
because I saw this like giant Reddit post where it was like, Earthshaker now stomps Phantom Lancer.
Wasn't it just like like an image?
Yeah, it was. That's exactly
like
what
it was
I'm
literally
referencing.
just Earthshaker smiling, and that's a giant Reddit post.
I don't know.
Okay.
I speak in hyperbole. Anyways, Queen of Pain going to be picked up for MUFC. Really like that hero against the current lineup that LGD has. Not a lot of lockdown aside from the fissure. So she has a lot of good mobility here, and I really like the Nature's Prophet as well. And MUFC has essentially set themselves up for such an aggressive lineup. You have the CK Wisp being able to TP in anywhere. The Nature's Prophet will follow. Queen of Pain with their blink is managing to get and close the distance really quickly. So just a really mobile, well-rounded lineup. The one thing I'm a little bit afraid of is their lack of lockdown in fights, and maybe their huge AoE teamfight ability. But aside from that, it just looks like a really nice aggressive lineup. And I would actually really like to see something like this played, just because I think LGD Sylar is the best carry in terms of when he needs to come to fights, which is actually, I think, the most difficult carry skill to learn. From what I've seen, he's fantastic at it. And so it's really difficult to put your carry against his. So I think this aggressive lineup by MUFC is something that they need to do against a team like LGD.
All right, and Windrunner is drafted for LGD. Pretty good hero against Chaos Knight Wisp. If they do end up chasing after somebody, there's a good chance of being able to shackle the two together. And if you can do that, especially in an early or a gank, it can really shut down any snowball coming out of those heroes. So I like the Windrunner pickup. Could put them in the off lane. Chaos Knight Wisp is pretty good against Windrunner, but as long as you don't get a huge stun duration, you can survive from that without too much trouble. As long as you get a boots up reasonably fast, but it still might be a little tough, especially with all the global stuff. I mean, Prophet could always TP and Sprout and stuff, so.
Yeah. Actually, so I think they ran this Windrunner Visage Earthshaker tri-lane before.
Oh, really?
As an offensive. And I think that's one of the good options against a hero like Wisp because, or IO, I guess, doesn't really provide too much defensive capability in the early game. I mean, the Tether is a pretty good stun, but if you don't really have a really strong offensive/defensive hero on a team like MUFC, it's going to be difficult. And Earthshaker would have actually fit their needs kind of decently well, but LGD picking it up early.
Yeah, they would have given them a really weak tri-lane though, because they would have had like a double melee Wisp, which is really not the best thing. But talking about the Windrunner Earthshaker Visage tri-lane, Windrunner has great range, Visage has great range. If they just Grave Chill somebody, Wisp, for example, has 0 armor at level 1, very low HP. That guy's got to be really careful, because if they can just literally do a fissure with a power shot and a Grave Chill, you're talking about a lot of nuke damage actually at level 1. So that sounds pretty scary for them. And they go for a Vengeful Spirit for the last pick.
Yes. A good fan of this pickup. The stun range is a little bit short for the initiation on Vengeful, but that's why you have a skill like Reality Rift on your Chaos Knight. Plus the Chaos Bolt has a pretty good range. And on top of that, it's just a lot of nuking potential and a dual combination of stuns. Triple if you count the Wisp Tether, if they manage to land that as well. It's just a little difficult though if LGD does decide to offensive tri-lane them. I mean, as long as the Earthshaker kind of hangs back, the Visage is kind of tanky, and he'll do the same, and it's difficult to go in on the Windrunner, because the Fissure will just follow up on whoever they stun on.
That is a good point. And it's a Dragon Knight last pick for LGD. That's most likely going to be their mid hero. We'll probably see Zhao 8. Yep, he's going to be playing the Dragon Knight mid. You could argue for some possible nerfs to Dragon Knight because of the Bottle Crow nerf. He is one of those pretty tanky heroes who goes mid and generally relies on his first skill as Fire Breath to get CS. So he's going to have slightly less of those, but with good rune control from LGD, he should be covered here.
Yeah. The one change, though, that really helped Dragon Knight, the ult. You can actually get it at level 11 now because you get the cleave effect of it, the radius splash, and you can also get the poison still, meaning that your supports can actually stack camps, and you can do those fairly easily.
Yeah, without having to wait until like level 15 or something like that, right?
And it makes your team fight a lot more effective as well.
Yeah, the splash, the typical build that most Dragon Knights go right now, it doesn't really make your splash that amazing in the mid game, because usually you grab something like Tread's Drum with the BKB, and I always find myself really lacking on damage at that point, but regardless, it is still nice to have the splash as well as the poison, but I would say mostly for farming purposes. So let's go over the players really quick. I'll do MUFC quick since they're all logged in here. We've got Ling playing a Vengeful Spirit. We have TFG playing the Nature's Prophet. Hontrash players on the Chaos Knight. Winter's going to be playing Wisp this game, and we've got FZYY playing the Queen of Pain.
We got Xiao 8, the captain, the Director 8, going to be playing the Dragon Knight. Sylar going to be playing the Gyrocopter. Yao, Godz's Man Crush, going to be playing the Windrunner. DDC on that Visage, and DD going to be playing Earthshaker.
Yeah, it was a beautiful man. I'm going to second that one.
Dude, this entire place has this huge man crush on him. It is scary.
I saw him at TI2 and I was like, damn, that guy's attractive. So jelly. And he's a pro Dota player. How cool could he be? Okay.
Wow, this is getting a little weird.
Wow, there's a lot of stuff popping up. That is, holy crap. Alright, so there's some things being purchased. Let's check out some items. Yep, that's going to be a mid-Dragon Dragon Knight DDC going for typical support stuff. And Earthshaker, really, really cost-efficient early support build. Double clarity with 2 Ironwood branches. This guarantees that he has just about 2 fissures in the early laning stage. The downside is he can't take any harass at all, but since they're going aggressive, he can most likely just always position himself in a good spot and not have to worry about pulling or anything like that.
Yeah, I really like this Earthshaker's build too, not going any sort of regen aside from the clarities, because he realizes that as long as his positioning is good, he doesn't actually need to take any damage.
Yep, exactly. And if he doesn't have to pull or worry about pulling creeps from camp to camp, they'll be fine. And very wisely, MUFC is going to be putting a Queen of Pain safe lane against this expected tri-lane. So that should give them a pretty good shot.
Is this a long lane Vengeful Spirit? She's actually got boots, tangos, and a clarity. So I assume that the Nature's Prophet will start down. but Ling might just be kind of roaming, especially going that boots first. It'll make it so that he can close the range on his stun a lot quicker.
And it's a pretty good stun duration as well. 1.45 seconds, 100 damage for a level 1 nuke. Extremely reliable, unless your opponents have like blink dodges or something like that. So maybe is this... Well, Wisp is also down here. Maybe he's covering for the mid lane, but Chaos Knight, I guess it's going to be a dual mid, maybe? A Wisp, Chaos Knight on the mid lane. This is going to be versus a Dragon Knight. Dragon Knight has pretty good armor when he starts putting Dragon Blood in, but he might have some trouble until then. So I guess it's going to be a dual bot or a roaming Venge. Yeah, this looks a lot like a roaming Venge. I think you're right.
Yeah, I can't imagine she'd be straight up long laning. That would be a little bit difficult considering her attack range is so low.
Yeah, no kidding. That's going to be up against a Windrunner, so if you can stack the stuns, you should be able to get a kill, but it's going to be a while until Windrunners really threaten. And very wisely, pulling the creeps past with the Nature's Prophet Trio, this is going to force Yao to actually last under a tower, and this is not easy to do.
Yeah, so instead of actually sending the Windrunner in the offensive tri-lane, they actually opt to send Sylar, and it's going to be really difficult for FC to do anything up here at top.
Denying starts on the bottom. On the top lane, it's Gyrocopter Visage, which is a little scary for Queen of Pain. She does have great range and good base damage as well, so she should be able to get some last hits, but it won't be the easiest thing ever. And Winter's going to be harassing Zhao Wei a little bit. He pulls the creeps back again, and things are looking okay there, back on the bot lane. Nature's Prophet has pulled the creeps into a pretty good area. He actually hasn't gotten a last hit yet, so Yao is slightly outlaning him here, but picking up level 2 on the Windrunner, and she's going to be able to pressure the Nature's Prophet back.
Yeah, Ling manages to pull one creep towards the neutral camp, so gonna try to help out FC at top. I mean, he's still level 1 with absolutely no experience. I don't actually know where he could gank. It's gonna be a little difficult to gank for mid as well, since DD is just kind of spotting. And ganking for top doesn't really seem like it's an option, as they don't really have the firepower for this.
Yeah, he did walk right through a ward. By the way, there's actually DD is gonna roam towards him, looking for the Vengeful Spirit. Venge is anticipating this, I believe, and they're actually not going to spot each other. But he's hoping the Venge is probably going to run past this point, and then he'll land a Fissure and force his allies to maybe roam over and try to set up a kill. But at the moment, Ling hasn't really accomplished a whole lot. He's not going to be able to pull this camp, so that's going to cost him some EXP. And thus far, he hasn't really profited a whole lot from the boots. But I wouldn't be that concerned about it. The rest of their lanes are doing reasonably okay.
It just seems a little weird to go for this boots option, especially if you can't kill bottom or mid or top, and you're opting to go for this kind of gank-heavy build. But the issue with it is you have no sentries, and you can't really do anything top because you'll just kind of steal Queen of Pain's XP.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a really good point. It does cost some sentries to go for this boots build, so Wisp is going to pick up the DD. He has not been able to afford a bottle yet. Usually what we see, actually, when we have a dual mid Chaos Knight Wisp, is the bottle will be purchased by the Chaos Knight. It's going to be given to the Wisp to keep, essentially. So then when he wants to refill any mana on Chaos Knight, he can just tether himself to Chaos Knight. The Wisp can use the bottle, and then whenever runes are up, Chaos Knight sits mid. He doesn't cost himself any experience at all, any experience loss, and Wisp can go control the runes. And that's going to hurt Chaos Knight's or Dragon Knight's farm a lot as well, which, of course, keep this in mind. Again, Bottle Crow's nerfed, so that's going to be a little rough for him.
And Zhao Wei doing the smart thing here. If you notice, he's trying to stack this small camp just so he can consistently breathe fire it later. And actually, he's going to get caught on.
Great stun, actually, from Dragon Knight to stop the Chaos Bolt just in time. Level 1 tether, really not that strong, but a 3-second stun, not lucky at all. And Zhao Wei is going to go down. The Spirit's helping out a bit. Level 4, level 3 on the mid lane. And great reaction time from him, but just a little bit too much damage here.
Yeah, and they're able to go on that pretty easily. I mean, DD is a top, not able to accomplish a whole lot either. So I guess that's in MUFC's favor. Ling actually is about to hit level 2. FC is doing a little better than he should. And it looks like the bottom matchup is kind of one-sided in favor of Yao.
Wow, he is quite a bit ahead. And they actually have pretty comparable base damage, so this just kind of looks like Yao outplaying TFG a bit.
Yes. Actually, I think he got stacked regen as well. I'm not 100% sure.
I don't believe he did. He just had a... I don't think he did. I think he just had a Salve Tango with a Ring of Protection in 3.
I thought he had double. I thought he had double Tango.
Did he? Okay, he might have. It's possible. I didn't double check on the numbers. I just looked and was like, okay, that's a typical build. But it might have been 2 Tangos. I might be wrong here.
Interesting build by Yao too, going double Windrun just for that extra mobility.
Wow. Interesting.
But I think I would have preferred to see him get Shackle here, especially since it would give him so much more offensive potential. And you're skipping Shackle for quite some time as well.
I don't know, like, whenever I grab an early Shackle in a solo lane like this, I feel like if you use it, it's a good stun and all, but it's only 1.5 seconds, and it costs you a decent amount of mana, 90 mana. And if all you have is a Ring of Basilius, like, Bottle Crowing isn't as popular or isn't as possible anymore, if he doesn't have as much mana to use to try to lock down enemies, then maybe the mobility, and especially the slow, 16% slow isn't terrible. That could possibly set him up a kill better, but it is going to also hurt how early Shackle can be maxed out.
Oh, and he actually misses the power shot, and this is a big deal because DD's rotated down to try to gank, but the damage just isn't there right now. And he doesn't have the Shackle as well, meaning that after the Fissure follows up, then TFG, the Nature's Prophet, can just TP out.
Yeah, he has picked it up now, but the Treants, very wisely from the Nature's Prophet, just right-clicking them on that enemy hero to prevent his HP from being full. Back on the top lane, we see Grave Chill on the Queen Plane, almost an initiation on the Visage, but he's going to be able to run within tower range, and he's going to be just fine.
And Sylar continuing to farm up the Storm. He's got 24. Number 1, though, is the Chaos Knight mid, and it looks like Zhao 8 isn't able to do... he's actually not doing too bad. He's got 20 and 0. He hasn't been able to deny, which is too surprising. It's not worth it for him. And it looks like he's actually opted to pick up a Clarity now. I like this decision. You don't see it too often, but he's realizing the bottle nerf is quite significant. Oh, at bottom.
Yeah, they are going on Yao. They tried to kill the Nature's Prophet. One right click on Windrunner, and now Venge is going to run away. Downside to the very early TP on supports, that's a huge percentage of his mana pool. That was literally a teleport, and all he can cast now is one magic missile. And his teleport scroll, very, very early gold spent here, is not actually going to result in getting a kill.
Yeah, and Nature's Prophet going to be forced out of the lane. Yao continues to farm, does pick up his Ring of Regen. Looks like he might be going for a Force Staff. Or maybe even can switch, toggle between Regen.
Trinkle Boots?
Trinkle Boots, yes.
Yeah, he definitely could go for that. Still level 6, a lot of heroes sitting mid. Trash player now level 5, he's going to go Treads 1, so just really early attack speed. And most importantly, you can actually Tread Switch quite easily for extra mana. That's always very nice on that hero. And they are going to go in. There's Screaming Pain on DDC. He's going to have to throw a nuke before he goes down. A lot of damage. And the Fissure. Oh my god, can they make the play? They do get it. No death on Visage. Great Fissure from DD at the perfect time. And DDC just doesn't get bursted down. Interesting choice. He picked up an early Gravekeeper's Cloak rather than... Oh man, somebody's going to pick him off. That's going to be Venge sweeping in from the side. And they're not going to be able to stop Venge at all.
There's that early boots advantage, but... I mean, the issue with the Queen of Pain blinking in like that is that you put yourself in range of Rocket Barrage, and that skill is disgusting. It does so much damage. She's not able to stand up against that, and the Visage as well, picking up an early Magic Stick, and I like the decision to go Gravekeeper's Cloak early. Just because she's worried about the, or he is worried about the Windrun, or the Vengeful Spirit coming in. And so just some preventative action.
Yeah, and it's really just early bursts, essentially. Like, you won't take that much sustained harass in the early game because everybody's attack speed is really slow. So most of the nukes that you do take are most likely just going to be active skills. And 4 levels of Gravekeeper's Cloak at level 1 gives you, you know, like 3/4 of a cloak, which isn't bad for 1 skill point. It's not a whole lot of survivability, but it obviously helps a bit and maybe made the difference there.
Yeah, definitely. And Zhao 8 actually starting to pick up his farm a little bit. He does have that stack. Oh no, he actually did the stack as well. Huh. He's actually just had the most rough time mid.
It's definitely been a bit rough. He's only gotten 6 CS since we last looked at him, but when Chaos Knight gets an advantage in terms of farm, it gets really, really scary. And especially with Wisp at level 5, and the spirits are all magic damage, so they're going to eat right through his armor advantage. And it really is, doesn't even have that much HP. He's at 500 gold.
Oh, they're actually going to find Chaos Knight here.
Ooh, the call down, great Fissure to keep him in place, and wow, he died really fast there. Fissure into Power Shot, such a good combo there. 360 magic damage. And even the call down helping out. So
yeah, and actually that's gonna catch the farm right back up. Sylar is 3rd in the game right now in farm with 38. Yao though, 46 CS in the off lane or in the short lane against the off lane. Nature's Prophet doing quite well for himself. So and mid.
We actually see a kill going in on Winter. That was a Fissure into a stun with a Fire Breath on Dragonite. So little reach there, and Winter's slightly out of position, I'm sure.
Yeah, did you see Zhao 8? He hits the tower once right before he runs away. Starts getting the poison on it early.
Yeah, I really like doing that as well. It's so important because it does 20 damage per second, and even if does it go through backdoor regen as well?
No, I don't believe so.
But if he did have a creep there, just throwing the damage on early might make the difference. It's another 100 HP being done. So
yes, actually they're opting to just do as much damage as they can mid, accomplishing quite a decent amount, bringing it down to 400 HP. That does so much damage.
Yeah, that's really useful, all right. And he still has his ulti up for about 5 or 10 more seconds, so he will be able to shift over and right-click the tower soon. Spirits are coming up to pull the creep wave past, and Winter should be able to do this just fine. But again, Visage Spirits as well as the Chaos Knight, or sorry, the Dragon Knight are going to do some damage. So 266 now. And Nature's Prophet hasn't really done a whole lot this game, I must say. He hasn't been getting CS, and I like the phase boots pickup. If you're in a 1v1 lane, the phase boots make a big difference.
Radiant's top tower.
Yeah, and
is
FC
under
actually
attack.
just going to push out top here. He does have treads and a wand, not too much farm on him. 38 CS. I guess that's okay considering the lane he was against, but the death does matter quite a bit.
Yeah.
And DDC, meanwhile, has hit level 6 as a support. That's actually quite a decent amount of experience coming out on him.
So Windrunner's picking up a fast mech. I actually really like this build, and I'm a little sad that it phased out for a while there. Force Staff started becoming preference on Windrunner before mech, but now I've been seeing some Chinese teams going back to Arcane mech, which ended up being, I think, a really good build, honestly, because the mana sustain that you get out of the Arcane boots is really nice. You can spam power shots more often, and picking up the Mechanism makes her so strong in the early game, and sometimes she's one of the few heroes that can actually farm it. Mechanism is finished at 10.5 minutes here, and that is a big deal against an enemy team that mostly just has a little bit of single target damage. If you can like keep that one hero alive or mech after the one scream of pain, it just stops almost all the AoE that MUFC can throw out.
Yeah, and actually, Winter is level 6, hasn't opted to use his ult anywhere yet. That's what I'm looking for, Purge, just to see if they can get anything going. But DDC smartly just waiting behind Sylar. He does have the bats, kind of just... actually, where did his bats go?
They're off somewhere. I actually don't
Bat
know.
friends, where have you gone?
Oh, there. Nope, that's a hero. I actually don't see them on the map at all. Is he level 6 yet?
Yeah,
he is.
maybe he lost them?
He's on cooldown. It's possible that he lost them.
Are we going insane? Do we just...
I think they're gone, man. I
Okay,
think they're
well,
gone.
anyways, I thought he was going to use them to just kind of protect Sylar at bottom, because he's the hero that's most likely to get ganked here. And he's actually quite far out from his tower. A little bit scary, and yeah, that's going to mean that's go time for them.
There's the call down as well. Has used Rocket Barrage. He just now cast it. Wow, a ton of damage on Wisp. Gyrocopter will actually fall. Can DDC get the kill? Nope. Han Trash probably going to put to 300. He actually stayed a little bit long. There's the nuke, but the fissure from DD. Shackle comes in, actually going to pick up the Nature's Prophet. Big ulti, puts Visage down. Another stun on Link. Great Breathe Fire on 2 and some poison damage.
Oh,
So
that
the bats
stun.
come in. The second stun on YY. Can they get the kill? No more nukes, and he is going to be able to blink away. But still, 3 kills in exchange for 2. They end up losing their carry. Both teams lost their carry, actually, but overall good trade for LGD there, and a great reaction based on the TP, I think.
Yeah, and actually that was just Sylar being a little too far out. No TP, or the TP support, it was going to come, but it was just going to be a little too late. But an advantageous trade for LGD as they're going to pick up this bottom tower. Mid is low as well. I think
Dire's bottom tower
TFG is trying to
has
pressure this
fallen.
top tower, because it is the lowest tower on the game for the Radiant, but doesn't look like he's getting any headway.
Dire's
And
bottom
what a good
tower
trade for
is under
LGD.
attack.
They do lose Sylar there, but he's going back to farming mid. He's getting closer and closer to his BKB, actually picking up first in terms of farm, and they get a tower out of that as well. And LGD is a team that rolls with towers.
Yeah, and the enemy heroes that they did end up killing were the Wisp and the Chaos Knight, so shutting down their snowball is super important.
I don't
so.
think the Chaos Knight died.
Oh, did he not?
No, it was the.
Oh, that's right.
Queen
He
of
got nuked from the Visage, and then he escaped. You're right. But they did kill the Wisp at least, and that's going to mean that he continues to be a squishy hero with 1 armor and only 700 HP. He doesn't even have a magic
Radiant's
stick
top
yet, so
tower is
a
under
couple
attack.
burst nukes and he should be pretty easy to kill.
Radiant structures are fortified.
And actually, the traditional LGD, we save towers at all costs. Yao gonna TP in before it takes any damage, and they
Radiant's
glyph it before it
bottom
takes any
tower is
damage.
under attack.
This is just a team that does a really good job of protecting their tier 1s at all costs. They realize that it surrenders gold and a bit of map control, and they don't want to give any of that up.
Yeah, most pub players will just let your tower take damage. You're like, okay, it's at 3/4, no big deal. But that extra 200 or 300 damage can really add up a lot, especially if it's just
Radiant's
creeps
middle
hitting.
tower is
That's
under
almost
attack.
inexcusable in most cases. You just have to seriously try to keep your towers full as long as possible.
Yeah,
Especially
and
against a
Sylar-
Wisp, by the way.
Yeah.
Like, super important there, because then it's harder to TP support. Like, if anybody's farming these jungle camps, your closest TP is a tier 2, and that hurts things a lot.
Oh, on top of that, if Sylar farms where the T1 is, he'll die if it's not there.
Yeah.
Like, there is such a wide range where he can't actually farm due to the Chaos Knight Wisp combo. So I think they correctly realized that, and they're just trying not to surrender any tier 1s off the bat.
Well, they are pushing the mid lane a little bit. It has been glyphed by MUFC. I don't think Winter's going to be able to hold this, and Visage actually getting the last hit, so Arcane Boots for him. He's actually maxing out Gravekeeper's Cloak second. He's keeping Grave Chill level 1, a little surprising, but again, the very limited focus fire. If he can keep himself alive, if Chaos Knight dives on him, for example, and he's able to stay alive, that can be absolutely huge for team fights for them.
Yes, and FC gonna pick up his Ogre Club on Queen of Pain. I think Sylar actually finishes his BKB here, meaning he's gonna be a ton more safe. It's gonna be really difficult for the CK Wisp combo to gank now. I think LGD is actually playing really well against this lineup too. They're sending a hero to constantly sit behind Sylar, just in case they go on him, they can at least get some sort of trade-off.
Yeah.
They're doing a really good job of protecting him and just limiting the effectiveness of Wisp CK. Winter's actually only TP'd once, I believe, this game.
Yeah, it was just that one gank bottom that didn't go too well. I mean, there have been a lot of supports missing, but I mean, Earthshaker is literally the perfect counter initiation support. This is where he's been used for a very long time. Fissure range is huge, and even if the stun duration looks low, 1.5 seconds, that's all it takes sometimes to break the initiation and get an escape for one of your heroes.
And actually, the farm is actually pretty even in terms of CS. I think Sylar does have the most net worth in the game, if I'm not mistaken. Yes. But it's not too much ahead of Trash players, who actually takes the lead right now. So I thought, I mean, maybe MUFC starts to force things a little bit, but I think they realize in terms of farm, they're not too far off. In terms of core items, though, they kind of are, considering that Yao has a mech, meaning the team fight should swing their way.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. There's no mech on the way yet for the Dire team. Vengeful Spirit probably making an urn with his double gauntlet. Yep, it's going to be an urn for sure. That's pretty much the only heal they've got going for them, other than maybe a little bit of a Wisp tether action. So, much bigger items going for LGD, and this can be reflected by their gold advantage. So, gold advantage lets you buy nice things that will possibly help you in a team fight. So,
Is that so?
that's how a game works, believe it or not.
You get gold, get an advantage. Who knew?
Yep, and then
Actually,
you
Trash players
fight.
going to top his invis, and this is actually a little scary considering LGD already has the sentry set up.
It's a little bit back though, of course, slightly out of range, but the tower damage is huge. All these illusions do apply poison. It doesn't stack, of course, but if Zhao 8 ever gets scared, he can just back up. And there's the tower. I guess it's going to go really low. Yep, Gyrocopter gets the last hit. BKB pop for the Reality Rift. There's a stun on Huntrash, but he's in a lot of trouble. The call down comes, and the Rocket Barrage able to pick him off. The Sentry doing all the work. Wisp goes down. Vengeful Spirit's going to go down. DD running for his life. Scream of Pain gets the kill, and another Soul Assumption flies out. Nature's Prophet wants to kill any of these supporters, but again, Rocket Barrage and Breathe fires so much damage. The mech is finished on Prophet, but he does get picked off, and the rest of LGD running for their lives. But boy, did they win that team fight. They lost an Earthshaker, but that was it. They killed 4 enemy heroes on MUFC, and now it's an 11-5 game while they took a tier 2 tower.
Yeah, and at the same time, Yao rotated bottom to stop FZ from taking the tower. I mean, again, just learning to protect their towers, doing a really good job, saying to themselves, okay, we can't really surrender that because that's where Sylar is going to free farm. I mean, they knew they were going to take the mid tower, and that's what LGD does. They save their towers while simultaneously pushing.
And Earthshaker finishes up his Arcane Boots now, so he's pretty much set for the meantime. His next item will be a Blink Dagger, and when that happens, Earthshaker goes from being a counter initiator to a straight team fight hero that absolutely has to be feared, especially against a possible Chaos Knight split. If he can jump on top of Chaos Knight and just pop his ulti, it could be a big swing.
Yeah, what reaction time by Sylar as well. There was an invis, and he still couldn't get the Reality Rift on time on Sylar. I think that was a bad decision too. I think the Chaos Bolt off the bat would have been better.
Yeah,
I think
he
that
should've
fight
checked
might have
the
been
BKB.
slightly better. That was just a little greedy.
Yeah, against good players, they will react in time and pop BKB, but a little too greedy. He was maybe he was expecting to be tethered or something. I don't know, but like if he was tethered, he would have gotten a guaranteed fast stun. But of course, as soon as you hear that horse rears head, or he walks into the Sentry Ward and you see it coming, then you pop the BKB and you turn the fight. Worked out really well for them.
Yeah, now actually going to go back top, defend their tower, make sure it doesn't lose too much HP. I can't stress enough how smart this is by LGD. They do it every game. They make sure they don't like to trade anything. They don't think that's a good way to play. You never see them go, oh, we're taking a T1, so it's good to give up a T2, right? Or we're taking a T2 in exchange for losing our tier 1. They don't think or play like that. They leave 3 heroes mid to take the T2 tower, and then they rotate 2 bottom to save it.
Why is that safe though? I mean, wouldn't it force them into 3v5 team fights?
It's a little
or something
scary,
like that?
but also LGD has the advantage of counter-initiate heroes. I mean, the Windrunner can TP mid just because the tower is there.
Yeah.
So she was a little late to the fight, but still able to be there. And they always get the positioning advantage, it seems.
Well, Force Staff is now finished on Windrunner, so anyone that does get initiated on can be forced back, which is really useful.
Dire's top
We have some
tower
creep
is
cutting going
under
on from
attack.
TFG. They're going to try to take the tier 1 tower, and let's see if they go with that same principle. Will they end up backing
Radiant's
up and
bottom
covering their
tower
tower, or is
is
it trade
under
time? And it
attack.
looks like it's trade time. They have Blip,
Dire's
but I
top
think
tower
they're not
is
going to use
under
it
attack.
on the Queen Chain here.
Yeah, I
Dire's
think
Yep.
at this point, the
fortified.
positioning is too
Radiant's
poor,
bottom
and they
tower
realize that,
has
and actually they're
fallen.
going to rotate mid to try to save that instead.
Well, they will take the tier 1 top. There's the
Dire's
possible
tower
bats
has
coming down.
fallen.
Here comes the second stun to stop the Chaos Knight. Can we see fallout from the Dragon Knight? He might be able to stun this. The drum is popped, and that's going to mean Chaos Knight escapes. Very close, though. If that guy got stunned, it could have been really bad news for MUFC.
Yeah, really nice play by DDC, getting the bat stuns off. Not able to follow up, but look at his farm. He's got a Medallion of Courage and a Point Booster at 20 minutes with a Visage.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. Plus Arcane Boots. He's 4-2 and 6, by the way. We see this time and time again from most Visage players. They just have really, really impressive games. Continue getting kills, don't die very often, and end up contributing a lot. And Queen of Pain finishes her BKB quite early. The downside to this build is you have very, very little sustain in battle. You literally blow your combo and you're out of mana, and then you're done. But he will be able to team fight and not necessarily die immediately afterwards. That's the plus.
Yeah, Flak is kind of scary though. Sylar has a Helm of Dominator, cheap damage, good lifesteal, and he's got 2200 gold on top of that.
Yeah.
Meaning it's going to get a little scary for FC. And on top of that, doesn't the call down slow through BKB?
Yes, I believe it does. Yep.
Yeah. So if he blinks in and Sylar decides to focus him with Flak, or I mean if he gets hit by Flak at all, you don't really have to
Radiant
focus anybody.
structures are
He's going to take
fortified.
quite a bit of damage still. And actually Zhao 8 going to finish his BKB as well.
Yep. Oh, he tries to deny the tower, but Nature's Prophet's able to take it. A little bit of a sprout there to prevent that. It's going to hurt Zhao 8 a bit. Interesting, he skips the drum this game, actually. Usually we do see drum on Dragon Knight. That's going to cost him some mana pool, but he'll be okay. He's the level 11, by the way, so his Dragon is now level 2. And DD is about halfway to a Blink Dagger, looking pretty good. He actually hasn't even picked up Enchant Totem yet, which is a little surprising. Aftershock was buffed recently to be better at level 1 and level 2. The duration has gone up, which in a way, while we're going to see a kill mid, actually that's on Vengeful Spirit. No shackle on that, just looks like a Force Staff something. Oh, Wisp actually TP's out as well, and that's a dead winner, so 2 dead heroes on MUFC.
Yeah, and Zhao 8 actually still has his ultimate, so I think this means that they're going to try to siege in mid. Even if MUFC comes back, like their 2 heroes come back, LGD will have the positional advantage.
And they will go high ground. Again, the poison does some damage here. Chaos Knight has to wait. He wishes, but he does not. He's picking up a level 11, so he can make 2 illusions.
No glyph either.
But, wow, the tower's just going to drop right now. They're not ready to go in just yet. Will they try to swap? Is the level 8 Vengeful Spirit maxed out Wave of Terror first? But anybody they go on, there's so many BKBs. It's got to be one of these support heroes. There's Queen of Pain ulti catches for a Blink, as well as a Scream. Counter initiate Fissure. Link's trying to throw anything, but he just dies before he's able to do it. And Zhao 8 as well as the other LGD players are going to back out. Nobody else from Invasion MUFC has died, but Huntrash player goes in, takes a big nuke, throws a stun, and dies. He doesn't even get his ulti off. How did he get in there? I don't even know what's going on. How is he so deep?
I think they thought because the BKBs were down and heroes were low, they could go back in. Especially Yao, look at him. But able to just trend that back around, and that's definitely going to be Rax. And on top of that, they lost they lost a key hero and a BKB charge.
Well, these guys aren't greedy at all. They took the melee barracks and they're out. Chaos Knight's still dead. They don't care. They just want to take that and go back to farming. They're actually picking the top lane, so a tier 2 tower is going to be their next goal. But really, really nice play from LGD. They're able to take off 2 heroes in a mid push and then take a Rax after a pretty solid fight. And some slight mistakes from MUFC. So at the moment, LGD playing a lot better than them.
Yeah, and the scariest thing about this is that DD is only about 300 gold away from his Blink Dagger now.
Wow. That's when things get pretty serious. You can
Yeah.
start solo killing at that point. I am still curious to see him not picking up the Enchant Totem, though, because he could get a pretty good AoE stun in melee. But I guess that there's a lot of scary heroes in MUFC, most of which are ranged, so maybe that's why he's adjusting.
I think what DD's trying to do is just fissure, and if he sees an opportunity after that to walk in, he'll ult. So I think he realizes that the aftershock damage is going to be a lot more useful with his ultimate. The chances of him getting an Enchant Totem off are actually quite slim.
Yeah.
For him to walk into a team like that, it means certain death. He's just doing a really good job not dying in any of these fights. He's 1-1-9. He sits back, shoots the fissure, and then just waits for the cooldown again.
And that's pretty much the main goal of an Earthshaker. You don't even necessarily set up a lot of kills, but just being able to throw your fissure and then make plays are great. And that's a Shadow Blade on Nature's Prophet. He will stay invisible. And then the immediate gem purchase by DDC. They're like, okay guys, we should have had that kill, but we didn't. Regardless, we're still going to get a tier 2 tower, but not always the best thing. This could go late game, by the way. Nature's Prophet, one of the most annoying turtle heroes in the game. He's maxing out Sprout pretty early, and now that he has a Shadow Blade, switch pushing is definitely something that they're capable of.
Yeah, it looks like they're going to continue to go top. They realize that Queen of Pain is still bottom. He's going to have to go get mana. They do have Glyph this time, though. But positionally, this is a little weak. TFG doing the smart thing here, just cutting the creeps and making it so that LGD kind of has to commit with this wave.
Well, they're doing some spirit damage, so go in actually on DDC. He's got the BKB finished, and that's a really dead Visage. There's the ulti immediately afterwards, looking for another reality rift, but the BKBs are almost off cooldown. Zhao Wei running for his life. Salar's going to try to pick up some kills. DDC actually gets picked up. Great ulti from Queen of Pain. BKB already used, but the Rocket Barrage doing some damage. Chaos Knight, great shackle shot on him. He's going to go down. No buybacks just yet. Shadow Blade now from TFG, and Ling will you survive. Queen of Pain's trying to pressure him. Almost goes down 66 HP. There's the blink back in. Dagger, Force Staff out. Yao wants to run, but this is a little scary. Siler's still here, and the Rocket Barrage is doing full damage to Winter. Another great shackle shot. Winter running for his life. Stun on Siler. Oh my gosh, he's going to be able to blink out just in time. Great plays so far from MUFC. Trying to make kills and barely keeping each other alive, and they're able to recover the gem. Great pickup for Nature's Prophet here.
Yeah, what a good team fight. I mean, they realize that they can't go in on either of the BKB heroes, so they try to pick up the hero that's been doing the most damage to them, the Visage, and they're able to get him off before he can do anything.
Yeah.
And on top of that, DD was isolated by the Nature's Prophet, not being able to do anything. He wasn't even able to get his Blink ult off. So just a perfect fight by MUFC.
Yeah, that's really important. Aiming for those initiating heroes is such a big deal. If you guys don't really know how that works, Blink Dagger, if you take physical, or if you take any damage from a player-based source, that's not exactly true, it's not any, but if you take, I believe, lethal damage from a player source, it prevents you from blinking. So if Nature's Prophet just goes into the battle, and he sprouts him, and he right-clicks him every 3 seconds, it stops the Earthshaker from really making a massive impact, and that was huge, especially because LGD pretty much initially had to retreat. All based off of slight out-of-position play from DDC. So if he was in better position, we could see the game have just ended right there. But luckily for MUFC, they had some nice plays to react to this, and they can delay the game now.
Sylar does finish his butterfly. I almost said battlefly.
Battlefly sounds like a cleaving evasion item.
How great would that item be?
It's probably good. And regen. Why can't we just combine all items?
I don't know.
Should be like the ultimate... PA, what? No, not PA. God, don't stack evasion, guys. Never do that.
Ogre Club finished on DDC, just getting a little bit more tanky, but man, he went down so quickly in that last fight.
It really was impressive. Are you talking about DDC?
Yeah, he just kind of died. Really
He's got 4
quickly.
levels of Gravekeeper's Cloak. Didn't matter. Jumped on, absolutely dead, really fast. Maybe it's the spirits or something. I mean,
it's 28 armor.
Yeah, but if you take 5 sources of damage and or 5 spirits, then he only has, what, like 10 armor tops.
He's
with
got to be really
medallion
smart with his positioning now.
Yeah, he really does.
Before he was a little too cocky, playing a little too up, thinking that with his 28 armor and 1400 HP was enough to survive, but Chaos Knight took him right down.
Yeah, it really did. I don't know if the mech was used or not to save him, but Windrunner has a pretty good item progression. Ultimate Orb past the mech Force Staff, so we will see a sheep eventually on Yao, which is going to mean some pretty scary things for MUFC. BKB on Chaos Knight still at 9 seconds, so he can definitely do a good job here, I'm sure. All the ultimates are up as well, and FZYY also has an ultimate orb, looking pretty similar to the Windrunner at the moment.
Lots of buybacks, too, on the way of MUFC. 2,700 gold on Queen of Pain.
Oh, they're going in. Actually, BKB's being popped. They're going to be able to go in on top of Zhao Wei. He pops his BKB. There's the Manta split, or I'm sorry, the ulti split as well. Sylar being chased. And drums as well, but that's actually going to be the end of the team fight, I guess. All the BKBs not used. TFG in trouble. Fisher's going to land. Couple more right clicks. Grave Chill, and he gets picked off. The Sentry Ward on the low ground was enough to spot the Nature's Prophet. Is that the only... He does have buyback, so he could purchase back right now if he wants to. The BKBs are on cooldown, so I think they could maybe go. There's the swap. One stun on Zhao Wei. The Shackle's going to latch Winter as well. The lane. Great blink. Double stun. Gemma True Set on the ground, and Earthshaker gets picked off, so they're getting some kills at least. Queen of Pain actually going really aggressive here. Easy kill there. That was crazy. DTC eats a stun, and Winter running for his life is going to die, though. 4-second stun on Sylar, and can Huntrash player do it? There's the dagger. Sylar, oh, the shackle shot, and that's going to swing things. Huntrash player goes down, Queen of Pain goes down, and the top Rax is going to die. 6 shackles from Yao right at the end. They might have been able to kill Sylar there, despite him having a butterfly, but after the shackle landed, it was all over.
He just dodged like 6 hits as well.
Did he?
Yeah, it was actually kind of insane.
Man.
I don't know, that Queen of Pain, I think that was a little too aggressive. She had 300 HP, dives in, tries to get screams off, but I think the main reason she did that was because she realized the team fight was essentially lost.
Yeah.
Wanted to put out as much damage, get as much spells on her as possible, and then just buy back and go
Yeah,
at it again.
that-
So I don't
that's
think,
my guess as well.
I don't think it was one of those like, wow, that was a terrible play. I just think it was her thinking, well, I need to salvage this fight somehow.
And she did run out of mana. Again, her item build is mostly focused on the BKB. The Ultimate Orb is some slightly more stats, like 130 mana. So being able to buy back instead of jumping in or running back to base and then having to wait 15 seconds, she could jump in, do one last scream, get a full mana pool, and try to do more. And she almost did. Like, again, they almost killed the Gyro. Maybe they could have held after that point, but I mean, it's going to be so hard to come back now. When you buy back on 2 core heroes, on the Nature's Prophet as well as the Queen of Pain, any item progression past this point is going to be tough.
Yeah, they had to do it though. I agree with their decision to suicide there and go for the buyback. Because what are you going to do with 2 racks down against a team like this?
Nature's Prophet tactics. That's you can spam ulti, I guess, and then maybe split push, but they're always going to have a gem, and they've got pretty good ganking. I don't know. It's going to be tough. Visage finishes his Aghanim Scepter. That's going to be 3 birds now up. This is pretty sick, guys. Gives you a lot more damage output, especially if he can hit 16. It's awesome. But at the moment, 3 medium birds and some good damage output, especially against supports.
Alfred Hitchcock is really happy right now, but I
Sure.
think the issue with
Yeah.
MUFC's lineup is that they just haven't been able to utilize the potential of the mobility.
Yeah.
The Wisp TP, I think, has happened a total of once this game.
Yeah, that's accurate.
Yeah, from what I've seen. I mean, it could be twice, but I think it's once. Once offensively.
I
at
remember
least.
he died once in the mid lane from teleporting somewhere, which I think was a save.
Yeah,
I'm
once
guessing.
offensively.
I missed that
I
one.
think he was trying to save, but essentially he's only used it once offensively, not being able to create too much space.
Here comes the stun. Wow, the blink out just in time from Queen of Pain. That was a Shadow Blade on these 2 core heroes. A Shadow Blade picked up on both Dragon Knight as well as Gyrocopter. This is really cool and very smart. The reason they bought these in a late game scenario is because they knew they're ready to push. They know they have the stronger team. If they can initiate in any kind of advantage, they'll win the fight. What they're looking to do is just kill anybody. If they kill anybody, it's a 5v4, and there's no way that MUFC can win the fight. Unless it's like some super sick LGD throws. So very cool to get it in the late game like this so that they can try to pick off anybody.
And on top of that, it forces the supports on MUFC to just be so poor.
Ling out of position. The bats come in. The right click as well, and he's almost dead. Yes, he does get picked off. Gyrocopter at the last hit. Flat cannon, call down, great fissure. Does he even need the Echo Slam? I don't even think he cares. The Queen of Pain pops BKB, but almost dies to physical damage, and good game is called. That's the end of game 1. Really, really one-sided game. Is that fair to say? I mean, their laning strat was pretty good from MUFC. I think MUFC made pretty good decisions in the laning setup. The Queen of Pain had a little bit of a rough time on the top lane. Mid lane was good for Chaos Knight Wisp, and then their bot lane, I felt like Yao just outlaned the Nature's Prophet pretty heavily, and that put them at a pretty big disadvantage, and they weren't able to get their global strat running when all the ganks kept happening.
Yeah. When you pick a lineup like this and you have a specific game plan and you just can't execute it out, then it's going to be almost an automatic loss. I mean, they went kind of all in on this. We'll try to be as mobile as possible. We'll try to Wisp TP as much as possible as well.
Yeah.
But they just weren't able to get anything going with it.
It must be really hard to play. Well, that was it for game 1. Let's hear what everybody has to say on the analytics panel.
Welcome back to the desk. I don't have a mic because I'm actually plugging it in. There we go. Now I do. It was a fantastic game for LGD China, not so much for MUFC. And I think like Blitz as well as Lumi or Purge said, you go CK Wisp, you go Prophet, you really have to have a decent start and be able to find pickoffs. And for LGD, they just picked this fantastic 5-man lineup, Lumi, and they had the early advantage. They find those kills, and what a Prophet CK Wisp actually do against that amount of AoE, that amount of 5-man. The CK Illusions just melted in the team fights. It felt like once they lost the laning stage, there's just not a whole lot they could do.
Yeah, I think the laning stage was actually the biggest thing. CK was level 9 for like majority of the game till 15, 16 minutes. And without Phantasm at level 2, you're not going to do a single thing against a BKB Dragonite, a BKB Gyrocopter.
Right.
And when he got his Phantasm at level 2, that's when the AoE melted them down.
Yeah, that's when the Gyro had some big damage items.
Sure.
The DK had his level 2 ultimate and too much AoE.
Right, so if the laning stage went a little bit better and he was able to get his level 11 a lot sooner, then I think the team fight gets a lot easier for MUFC. Unfortunately, that didn't happen, and the snowball just was too big.
I mean, they had the alright start. You know, the CK Wisp, they get that first blood mid on the Dragonite with the 3-second stun, but
I thought the laning was actually very smart because if you know they're going to be offensive trialing you, Wisp is a fairly weak hero in the early
in most
game.
cases, yeah.
Right, but if you do solo mid, especially with the lucky illusion rune that Winter got
Right.
minimum 1, you were able to win the laning stage very hard. Unfortunately, they weren't able to make too much out of that advantageous mid lane.
You know, going Prophet, I think there's nothing wrong with the CK Wisp. There's nothing wrong with getting a Prophet on top of it, but when you do go for those 3, it really weakens your ability to take 5v5 clashes. If you have something like a Clockwork, a Magnus, maybe not a Magnus because he's not the best offlaner, but even a Darkseer, some hero that can really allow you to take the clashes more directly, then it frees up your options a little bit more in the mid game. When you go Prophet and CK Wisp, you just have to have that good start.
Yeah, and I think throughout 15, 20 minutes, MUFC wasn't able to take a tier 1 tower with Prophet. And
Right.
CK is not exactly a great tower pusher just by nature, but if you kill everybody, nobody's defending those towers. And that didn't happen either, so.
So going into this match, at least my analysis was, I think MUFC need to outdraft LGD, and they need to out-strategize them. I don't know if it has to be on the level of Alliance's level 1 5-man TP row strat, but it's got to be something that gives them an early strategic advantage, because I do feel like LGD China just has the flat-out better movement, better team decision-making, and individual skill as well.
If I have to rate the draft, I thought MUFC had the better draft. They got CK Wisp. Their laning was very smart as well. They put the Queen of Pain as well as the Defensive Venge up top against the offensive tri-lane. I thought that was great laning.
So they just got outplayed then.
I think they got outplayed. I mean, if you look at Winrunner on the long lane, minute 2, minute 3, Winrunner was out-CSing Prophet like 2-1, 3-1.
That's tough.
Yeah.
Well, what are they going to do going into Game 2? Of course, it's a best-out-of-2 format. If MUFC can win this game, they'll get 1 point. Otherwise, they won't get any, and LGD will be sitting pretty. So they had what you thought was the better draft. Certainly, they had the pocket strat with the CK Wisp. What do they turn to now?
I mean, I think keep up with the drafting. I think keep up with the smart laning. They just have to
Play better.
play a little bit better, and which is a little bit hard for game-to-game transitions.
There you guys have it. There's our expert analysis. MUFC needs to play better.
There you go.
Lessons available if they need
Yeah.
it. But, guys, that's going to wrap it up for Game 1. When we come back, we'll be live with Game 2 of LGD China versus MUFC. Stay tuned.